fresh off the lot to seized by police.
All right, here goes the stolen truck being impounded.
WESH 2 investigates a local family's dream car purchase turned nightmare.
Pretty bad. It's unbelievable something like that could happen, and nobody does nothing about it.
How a pickup that had been reported stolen ended up for sale on a local dealer's lot.
I want my money back, and I want other people to know that this could happen to them too.
The warning signs you should look for when purchasing a vehicle. Monday at 11, only on WESH 2 News. Local, live, late breaking. WESH 2 News Sunrise starts now.
Now on WESH 2 News Sunrise, a tragic ending to the search for a missing middle school student on Lake Fairview in Orlando. We've got the latest. Plus, a former Seminole County school resource officer is waking up behind bars this morning. We're going to tell you the charges he faces today. We're also tracking more rain into the weekend as SpaceX tries for a fourth time to launch its Falcon 9 rocket. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for waking up with us today. I'm Christina Watkins, alongside First Warning meteorologist Eric Burris, who is tracking those conditions along the coast. Taking a look at the live radar, Eric, what are we seeing?
Lots of heavy rainfall kind of working into Flagler County and just off the shoreline of Volusia. So we're getting a bit of an early start, but we are tweaking things around a little bit, Christina, and I think you may just like what I have to say. So stay tuned, my friend. Outside, take a look outside. This is the tourist district. We do have some clouds, and I wouldn't be surprised if we try to develop a little bit of fog across the metro area. All right? Keeping our eyes peeled on that next couple of hours. 77 degrees, 9 o'clock. We're up to about 84 by lunchtime, 88 degrees. That's our high temperature on the day. And then we fire up another healthy dose of those showers and those thunder showers. First warning, live Doppler radar showing that rain. Let's take you in a little closer, and you can kind of see it's almost a bit of a counterclockwise spin here. So the stuff around Oak Hill, Edgewater, not a bother at all. But here into Flagler County, just south of Palm Coast, around the Belterre Parkway back over to Beverly Beach, 100 pockets of heavy rain there. And then just off the shoreline here of Daytona Beach, Holly Hill, even South Daytona, watching that rain that may try to sweep on in. Temperature-wise, we're in the mid-70s in the city, 75 degrees in Daytona Beach, and the lower 70s north and west of town. Today, it's a beautiful one until it's not, until we get those widely scattered showers and thunder showers. But there is that change. We'll talk about it. Plus, we will look to the tropics and Fiona getting stronger in just a couple of minutes.
All right, Eric, we'll see you then. This morning, a memorial is growing outside of North Orlando Rowing Club following the heartbreaking end to the search for a missing student who was only in middle school. The student was one of 5 others. They were members of the rowing team. They were practicing on Lake Fairview Thursday evening when their boat flipped. Investigators said there were reports of a lightning strike nearby. The student was thrown overboard and never came back up. Crews immediately started looking, and their search lasted nearly 24 hours before ending yesterday afternoon around 5. North Orlando Rowing posted this message on Facebook confirming this tragic news. They said they are devastated and heartbroken, and they are working together to support the family and their rowing family as well. Another member of the team went to the hospital. We are still waiting for an update on their condition. The Daytona Boat Show continues today at the Ocean Center. If you go, you can see hundreds of boats on display this weekend. Tickets are going to cost you $5 per person. Parking will be an extra $10. The show starts this morning at 10. It runs until 7 o'clock tonight. It starts the same time tomorrow, but it ends a little earlier at 5. Also out on the coast today is the International Coastal Cleanup Day. You can help out by pulling trash from all of our waterways. City leaders in Melbourne plan to host 2 cleanup sites starting at 8 this morning until 11. One at Ballard Park, the other will be at Front Street Park. Bring your own kayaks if you have them and ride out on the water with the Melbourne Police Marine Unit. You're also encouraged to bring gloves, of course, plenty of water and snacks, your sunscreen, and do not forget that bug spray. There's also a cleanup at Flagler Beach Pier. That starts this morning at 9. All right, let's talk about the tropics. We know it's been a calm hurricane season for us here in Central Florida, but that recent activity in the Atlantic, not to mention strong flooding we've seen this week, well, it should be a reminder to all of us to stay on top of things. WESH 2's Scott Heiler is in Brevard County this morning with some reminders as hurricane season continues. And at 5:09, as we continue to track the tropics, we are monitoring Fiona this morning. First Warning meteorologist Eric Burris has been keeping a close eye on that storm.
That's right. And this morning, Fiona does appear to be getting stronger. Winds up to 60 miles an hour. far. A hurricane hunter is just starting to zigzag through, so we'll know pretty shortly if it is any better organized. But squally weather now through the Virgin Islands and into Puerto Rico. Here's the forecast path from the National Hurricane Center. The course of this afternoon into this evening, the storm staying south of Puerto Rico, though notice it's getting stronger, winds of 70 miles an hour. Expected to become a hurricane as it makes its way ashore on Hispaniola. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because it's continuing to strengthen, it looks like it will take the more recurved path, staying well out to our east, which certainly is good news. Meanwhile, back here at home, while that passes to our east, we're also looking to our overall weekend forecast. Christine, I'll see you with that in just a couple minutes.
Eric, thank you. It is 5:10 on your Saturday morning. People continue to pay their final respects to Queen Elizabeth II. You are looking live right now at some of the long lines outside of Westminster Hall. This is in London. Leaders expect at least 40,000 people to pass her coffin. This is a live look at that happening right now. We know at one point this wait was more than 24 hours. The Queen's funeral is set for Monday. You will be able to watch the services live as they happen right here on WESH 2. Still to come this morning on Sunrise, airports will soon be packed yet again for the holiday travel season. But with the expected increase comes higher prices.
I don't think I've ever seen the prices be this horrible. Basic economy. It's not even regular economy. You can't even bring a carry-on bag.
Yikes, what you need to know before you book your trip and how you can save a little money on those plans. We'll be back.
Closed captioning on WESH is driven by Toyota Orlando and Toyota Claremont.
It is 5:14 on your Saturday morning. Get ready to pay more if you plan to fly for the holidays. Those ticket prices are getting even more expensive. NBC's Stephanie Gosk tells us what you need to know and ways you can save. All right, let's take you out to our Space Coast this morning. We now know when NASA will conduct the next step for its mission to return to the moon. The space agency will go through some testing Wednesday morning at 7:15. Part of that includes making sure they actually fixed the hydrogen leak, which forced them to scrub the other launches. NASA is looking at September 27th for its third attempt. As for SpaceX, this is scrub number 4 for its Falcon 9 rocket launch just this week. It was set to carry dozens of Starlink internet satellites. SpaceX tried to launch the rocket several times since last weekend, but the weather forced them to scrub each of those launches. So the launch is now scheduled for 8:43 tonight. Of course, that all depends on the weather. You still have a few more days to take advantage of a deal to get into Kennedy Space Center. On the weekends, it is $19 for adults, $14 for children 11 and under, only if you live in Orange, Volusia, Seminole, and Osceola counties. You're encouraged to bring canned goods for Second Harvest Food Bank, and that's going to help with Hunger Action Month. There's a lot going on at the Space Coast. Of course, that launch, Eric. Yeah. We are watching the forecast. What is the favorability?
It's not good. Yet again, I mean, you've got to think about, they're really stuck between a rock and a hard place because they're starting to back up other Starlink missions that they're trying to get up. But nevertheless, there's already rain on the radar now, and that's going to continue through the day. So here's a look at the launch forecast. 8:33 to 8:53 is their full window given to them, okay? And we're going with a 20% chance of good weather. Now, hopefully we can clear that out, but, you know, we are just kind of in that zone. Here's a look outside on our tower cam network, beginning to see first light along the horizon there as we look over toward Cocoa. Temperatures out that way in the lower 70s for Titusville. It feels nice. 73 degrees here in Ocala. It's 75 in Orlando. Our first morning live Doppler radar. Actually quiet for Brevard County. There are clouds, though, to track. Up here into Flagler, it is pouring rain over Colbert Lane back over to Beverly Beach and kind of lifting up the Palm Coast Parkway toward Palm Coast itself. More rain off the shoreline coming in right on the Volusia-Flagler border. But as we look to the wider perspective, there is the remnants of that front that's been over top of us. Now, there is going to be a little piece of energy developing and moving away from us, and this overhaul weather pattern is actually on its way out. I've got to believe you've been thinking to yourself, this seems like it's been a pretty wet stretch. It has. but we're getting back to normal. As a matter of fact, we're actually drying out, interestingly enough. To the tropics we go, and there is Tropical Storm Fiona. Maximum sustained winds are at 60 miles an hour. Computer forecast models tight in agreement through the exit from the Caribbean, and then all recurving. Its exact positioning, still a little bit of fine-tuning to do, but overall, thankfully, the models are agreeing. So through the day today, Puerto Rico gets kind of some squally weather. Looks like tonight through tomorrow, that's when the worst of the weather moves through our friend and family neighborhoods there. Then by about Monday evening, it's pulling away from Hispaniola, getting over near the Turks and Caicos, and recurving and staying out to sea. But what's interesting here, this is Friday at 5 a.m. As it pulls by us, it actually starves the peninsula of moisture. So you'll see on the 7-day forecast, not only do we drop the rain chances these next couple of days, but Thursday, Friday, mostly dry weather. Yeah. How about that for Friday Night Lights next week? Not too bad at all. In the meantime, though, staying pretty stormy today and tomorrow.
First Warning Weather on WESH 2 is sponsored by Cool Today.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Darren Stoltzfus. Let's take a look back at Friday night hits from last night. Now, our game of the week, it won with more than 80% of the vote, Lake Mary at Lake Brantley. If you missed the game, hey, good news. You still have life. Here's why. That is it for sports. Great day of college football ahead. WESH 2 Sports will be down in Boca with UCF as they play tonight at 7:30 against FAU. We'll have all the other games covered as well. That is it for sports. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Local, live, late breaking. WESH 2 News Sunrise starts now.
Right now on WESH 2 News, explaining the penny tax hike. Orange County voters have a new way to learn about what you will see on the November ballot, how this transit dashboard works. Plus, preparing for major storms, what Hispanic leaders here in Central Florida say they learned from the past to help protect us in the future. It is 5:32 on your Saturday morning. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Christina Watkins. We are going to check in with First Warning meteorologist Eric Burris because we are watching the radar, already seeing some showers along the coast.
Yeah, that's right. We're watching a couple of showers impacting Flagler County, even off the shoreline there in Volusia County. For now, it's behaving. It's not doing too much,
Good.
but it is stuff that we are watching, okay? So there's a look at it. Let's move over and talk about our day planner forecast. This morning, because of all the rains from yesterday, may have a little bit of fog to deal with. Not anything too thick, but remember, it's the kind of stuff we had yesterday. Probably will pop up in spots again today. After that, we go sunny, begin to add some clouds by lunchtime, still looking good. And then it's afterward that we get those thunderstorms really going. The skies darkening up to a 70% coverage of rainfall. Here's a look at First Warning live Doppler radar. And let's just take you up here a little closer. You can see some of that heavier rain, though beginning to fade from A1A back to I-95. Trying to work on over towards, say, the Shell Bluff area, but for now, not doing too much of that. You can see some rain off Daytona Beach, off New Smyrna Beach, but those are kind of lifting up to the north. Temperature-wise, it's comfortable. We're in the mid-70s across just about all of town. We'll head today into the mid and even upper 80s. Rain coverage stays high, but think of today as that transition. We're starting to drop that off a bit. Why? We'll look at that and exactly what it means in your neighborhood. Plus, the latest on intensifying Tropical Storm Fiona. New advisories up for Puerto Rico. I'll have it for you in minutes.
Eric, thank you. In Commitment 2022, come this November, voters in Orange County will decide on a penny sales tax. The goal is to raise hundreds of millions of dollars to improve our roads, buses, trains, and sidewalks. And this morning, leaders are showing you how that tax money will be put to use. So take a look here. There's this new transit dashboard website. It highlights how the tax increase would pay for hundreds of different transportation projects. Some of that includes expansions to Sunrail and more Lynx buses. Orange County Mayor Jerry Deming says all of this depends on voters approving the tax increase. Pretty soon, you'll be able to renew your passport online. The U.S. State Department says they had a successful pilot program, which helped with the pandemic backlog. This does not apply to anyone younger than 16. It also does not apply to those who are trying to get a passport for the first time. The new online renewal system is expected to launch early next year. Starting 2 weeks from today, foreclosure sales in Seminole County will move from in-person to online. The Seminole County Clerk of Court said the new service is designed to benefit both bidders and property owners. They also believe this will make sure things are fair and will bring in more potential buyers for each property. This online option will start October 1st. You can go ahead and look at the site, create an account, and put down some money before the first online sale. At 5:35 this morning, police continue looking for the motive in a shooting that happened right by Apopka High School. That shooting was on North Main Avenue and Summit. It was around 1:45 yesterday afternoon. Police briefly put Apopka High School on lockdown just as a precaution. We know the victim went to the hospital. They're expected to be okay. Detectives said the suspect and the victim did not know each other. You know, we are seeing more school lockdowns just 1 month into the school year. Several other schools across our state went into lockdown yesterday after swatting calls. That's when someone makes a prank 911 call, hoping to bring in more officers. And it's exactly what happened down in South Florida in Fort Myers and Hollywood. The Lee County Sheriff says they searched all 67 schools in the district and determined all were safe. They also looked at 2 schools in Hollywood. Those were safe too. According to the Florida Fusion Center, similar swatting calls were made to schools all across the country. 5:37 now, top U.S. leaders are reaffirming their commitment to bring 2 Americans who are in jail in Russia back here to the United States. President Joe Biden met with family members of the WNBA star and former Marine yesterday. The Biden administration also says they are both being wrongfully detained in Russia. Reed Binion has a closer look this morning at where those negotiations stand right now. As Tropical Storm Fiona develops, leaders are now preparing for the worst and also reflecting on the effects of Hurricane Maria. It was 5 years ago when that storm devastated Puerto Rico, strong winds and heavy rain. Now with the news of Fiona, city, state, along with federal leaders are coming up with a plan to help anybody who could potentially be impacted by storms. One member remembers all of the families who showed up to the airport in need of help after Maria and says everybody needs to be proactive. We are tracking Fiona this morning. First warning meteorologist Eric Burrs is monitoring that storm right now. Where are we seeing some of these advisories?
Well, so I just want to let you know, within the last couple of minutes, the National Hurricane Center has upgraded Puerto Rico from just a tropical storm warning to a tropical storm warning and hurricane watch. What that means, tropical storm conditions expected, hurricane conditions are possible on the island today. You can see some of the squally weather moving through the Virgin Islands, just starting to get over to Puerto Rico. But over the course of the day today, as Fiona passes by south of PR, we'll watch kind of wave after wave of energy. And you can very clearly tell on the infrared satellite that Fiona is getting stronger. It is expected to become a hurricane by early Monday or late tomorrow and then recurve, staying well out to sea from Florida. That's good news for us, but for our friends along the Caribbean islands, it does mean they're going to have some rougher weather this weekend. But if Fiona moves by to our east, would you believe me if I told you we're going to dry out? Interesting. We'll look at the 7-day forecast in minutes.
Eric, looking forward to that. Thank you. Still ahead this morning, a busy weekend for music lovers. The big events happening right here in Central Florida. Plus, Quantum Leap is coming right back to WESH 2 starting Monday night. We've got to look at some of the new continuation of this original adventure from the early 90s. It's 5:42. We'll be right back. 5:45 now on your Saturday morning. Fall TV is getting started right here on WESH 2 with the season premiere of Quantum Leap. This is an updated version to the 90s time travel adventure series. NBC's Mark Barger chats with the man who is in the starring role. Another big act is in town this weekend. Alicia Keys is performing at the Dr. Phillips Center tonight at 8 o'clock. She was supposed to come to Orlando last year, but they had to postpone that show. At last check this morning, there are only a handful of tickets left for sale. Hoping the weather looks great for everybody who is heading out, whatever you plan to do today. Let's start with this morning, though, Eric. How are we looking out the door?
A little bit of rain in the exact same spot as yesterday morning. So if you're waking up in Flagler County like, oh, it's going to be great today. May not be great, at least in the moment, but get it done now, then you can go out and enjoy, right? There's our tower cam shot downtown. It is great here. A nice quiet scenario. 75 degrees our current temperature. We're at 73 in Leesburg, 75 degrees in Wildwood, and 73 back over to Titusville. So kind of depends on where you are, but it's not a bad start to the day. Lots of rain up to the north. Volusia, do want to point out, shower kind of trying to work in right around Bethune-Cookman up toward Holly Hill. We'll watch that shower activity. Here's the just steady rain from about Beverly Beach northbound to Palm Coast, almost making it up toward Marineland. We'll watch that certainly over the next few hours' time. So flooding, certainly a concern. But as Fiona passes by to our east, watch these rain chances not only dry out, but almost go non-existent. Thursday, Friday, we'll be tracking the storm system east of us and only a 20% mention of rain. In the meantime, today, tomorrow, staying pretty stormy in these parts. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
First Warning Weather on WESH 2 is sponsored by Cool Today.
Speaking of TikTok, we know this popular social media app is used for viral dances like the ones from Mr. Dwayne and Mr. Wayne, but now it's a little more useful for some. This is a search engine, especially for some young people. Some even call it Google for Gen Z. A Google exec shows about 40% of young users search TikTok for things like a place to grab a lunch. I'm still stuck on the dancing from Dwayne and Wayne. All right, we have a new hour of WESH 2 News Sunrise coming up in just minutes. This morning, just a heartbreaking end to the search for a missing middle school student on an Orlando lake. The growing memorial outside of North Orlando Rowing Club. Plus, the governor doubling down on immigration, how he plans to stop migrants from coming to our state. That plus the latest check of Tropical Storm Fiona coming up at the top of the hour.